Kyle Busch will have a new crew chief in 2026. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove, presented by Tableau TV. Buy once, watch forever. Cup Series power rankings coming up here in just a few minutes, but we have some breaking news this morning to react to first. Trackhouse just announced that Randall Burnett will be Connor Zilich's Cup Series crew chief next season. A veteran crew chief teaming up with one of the most exciting young driver prospects in recent NASCAR history. And I see what Justin Marks is doing here. Randall Burnett won a couple of road course races early in the next-gen era with young Tyler Reddick. Connor Zilisch, his ticket into the playoffs next year likely goes through SVG. Justin Marks doubling down on road courses, looking to lock down the front row at every road course race until the end of time. Looking at Randall Burnett's career up to this point, he's been with Richard Childress Racing for years now. I mentioned Tyler Reddick. He was Tyler Reddick's Xfinity Series crew chief for the 2019 championship winning season. Burnett and Reddick came to the Cup Series together, broke through in year 3, 2022, first year of the next-gen car, won 3 races that season. Might have had a shot at a couple more wins if not for some of those early next-gen technical gremlins. Reddick, of course, left for 2311 Racing. Enter Kyle Busch. Busch was hungry in 2023. Hungry to prove Joe Gibbs wrong, to prove his doubters wrong. And Busch and Randall Burnett fired off fast their first season together. Remember, they won Auto Club Speedway 2023, just their second points race together. They won 3 of their first 15 races. Hot start, had a ton of momentum on their side, and that's kind of where the story ends. Randall Burnett and Kyle Busch have not won a race since the first half of 2023. They've missed the playoffs the past 2 seasons, an 18th place average finish. Kyle Busch has set career lows in top 5s, top 10s. It's been getting worse, not better, which is why, funny enough, I said this on the show literally 2 days ago. I'm at the point now where you got to blow that whole team up. Randall Burnett, sorry, bro, but something's got to give. Something's got to change. There is a world where this move is a win-win. It's a win for Kyle Busch. It's a win for Connor Zilisch. I'll talk more about him in a moment. It could even be a win for Randall Burnett. I think Randall Burnett is a fine crew chief. I'm trying to think, has any RCR crew chief won more races than him in recent years? He's got half a dozen wins at least. I'm trying to think. You might have to go back to who was Kevin Harvick's crew chief those final few years? Gil Martin? That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Randall Burnett has done a lot with what limited resources and information RCR has to offer. I just think that the entire number 8 team, really the entire RCR organization at this point, they need to take a big swing. Kyle Busch is a future Hall of Famer. He has 1 year left on his current RCR deal. Swing for the fences. Do something. Try to ignite a spark. My point Sunday night is that it can't get much worse than it is now. I mean, Kyle Busch fired off Sunday with 35th place speed. It can't get worse. But maybe if you shake things up, it could get a little better. I saw a clip from Kevin Harvick on his podcast this week, and I think he summed up my feelings pretty nicely. He said, quote, "I can't imagine Kyle Busch going out like this. It's bad for everything. It's bad for the sport. It's bad for him. I hate to see where he's at." I could not agree more. I think Randall Burnett is a fine crew chief. We'll talk about him and Connor Zilisch more in just a moment, but for the sake of Kyle Busch and what few years he may have left, they needed to shake things up. Now my attention turns to who could Kyle Busch have as his crew chief next season? There are a few names that immediately come to mind. I've got no inside source on these. I'm just throwing these out as speculation. RCR often likes to keep things in-house, family-owned company and all that. Justin Alexander, been there a long time. I think 5 of Austin Dillon's 6 career Cup wins have been with Justin Alexander. I think he's their technical or competition director right now. I'm not sure he'd be willing to go back out on the road as a crew chief for 40 years, but that's a name perhaps to keep an eye on. They've pulled him out of semi-retirement once before. Danny Stockman is another in-house name maybe worth watching. He's currently Jesse Love's crew chief over on the Xfinity Series side. He used to work at Kyle Busch Motorsports motorsports, won Truck Series races, most recently with Chandler Smith, I believe, just a few years ago. Someone to consider, but I personally believe RCR needs a bigger shakeup than that. They need to go out and try to find some of the best free agents available. Throw out a name like Matt Swiderski. I feel like I should mention him because if Burnett is taking the Trackhouse job, essentially that means Swiderski is out of a job, right? He used to work at Colleague Racing, won a cup race with AJ Allmendinger at the Roval a couple years back, so maybe that's someone they'll consider. He wouldn't be my first pick. In fact, none of these three guys, I think they could do an okay job. None of these guys would be my first pick. I just think they could be realistic choices. There are two names that if I'm RCR, I'd consider taking a big swing on. I have no idea if they're available. I have no idea what their relationship with Kyle Busch may or may not be. But what about a Scott Zipadelli? Corey Himes, Truck Series crew chief. That team is putting together maybe the greatest season in Craftsman Truck Series history. Zipadelli's been around a long time. He's won a ton of Truck Series races. And I look at what Charles Denike did this year. Jumped straight from trucks into the NASCAR Cup Series, and I think has made an immediate positive difference at 2311. So Scott Zipadelli, again, no idea what his contract looks like, what his relationship with Kyle Busch is, but that's a name I would consider if I was RCR. And lastly, of course, gotta mention the man, the myth, the legend, Rodney Childers. Speaking of Kevin Harvick earlier, both Rodney Childers and Kyle Busch, I think, have a history or have a reputation in the past of being kind of stubborn, but I do think they've grown to be more collaborative in the modern day. I still think Rodney Childers could be a valuable part of a Cup Series team. Is he as effective as he was maybe in the Gen 6 era? Perhaps not, but I still think there's something there. Could there be friction between Childers and Busch, who were rivals for many, many years? Maybe, but hey, frictions create sparks. And what did I open this segment up by saying? The 8-team RCR, they need something, a spark, even if just for next year. These are just 5 names that came to mind this morning when I was writing down notes. None of these guys could get the job. RCR may have a completely different candidate in mind. I just wanted to throw these names out there. I like taking a huge swing on one of these guys, but these dudes have been at RCR for a while or have worked in Welcome, North Carolina in the past. I don't know, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if RCR goes the safe route, promote someone from in-house, or if they go take a huge swing. And would any of these guys even be willing to go work at RCR? That's another question in itself. Anyway, I've spent a lot of time on the Kyle Busch RCR side of things. The announcement today was about Trackhouse, was about Connor Zilisch, the 19-year-old rookie, pairing him up with a veteran Cup Series winning crew chief. I think this is a solid pairing. Look, what have you done for me lately? Randall Burnett, not much. But a few years ago, he was the perfect guy for a young up-and-coming Tyler Reddick. And I think some, not all, but some of the 8 teams' struggles recently are more of an RCR problem than specifically a Randall Burnett, Kyle Busch problem. I think RCR is just naturally regressing to their place in the Cup Series pecking order. Think about it. Early 2020s, Richard Childress Racing helped develop some of the earliest next-gen prototype cars. You gotta imagine that gave them at least a slight head start in 2022, and sure enough, team won 4 races in 2022 with 2 different drivers. 2023, they won 3 races. But then over time, Hendrick, Gibbs, Penske, with their resources, their talent, they caught up, and RCR is back to being a 1-win team. That's what they are today. Sure, they're a tier 1 Chevy team, but they're not Hendrick Motorsports. Outside of Richmond, the 8 team usually outruns the 3, so I think that's a point in Randall Burnett's favor. Burnett is going to Trackhouse, who also runs ECR engines, so there's some familiarity there. Look, once again, expectations for Connor Zilisch next year need to be reasonable. He's having an incredible Xfinity Series season, but he's driving the best car in the garage. Marty Lindley has that 88 dialed in, week out. Not saying Zilisch isn't fantastic, he is, but the Cup Series next year, Trackhouse, that's a different beast. That's a whole new challenge. Maybe he wins a road course race. I do think that's part of Justin Marks' thinking here with Randall Burnett coming on board. Maybe he gets a push at a super speedway at the right time, but otherwise, Connor Zilisch is not going to contend for Cup Series wins with any consistency next season. He's only 19 years old. Trackhouse is not at the top of their game. We have to be realistic. Next year is about learning, is about building a solid foundation. Randall Burnett, veteran crew chief, has won at the Cup Series level. He has the credentials. I think there will be a mutual respect between Burnett and Zilisch. That is the right step towards building that solid foundation. That's what next year is all about. I think there is a world where RCR takes a huge swing, and maybe this works out for Kyle Busch in the short term. I think there's also a world where Randall Burnett is the exact right guy for young Connor Zilisch. There's a world, a universe where this is a win-win, but only time will tell. Leave a comment down below. How do you feel, Kyle Busch fans, about the Busch-Burnett era shortly coming to an end? Zilisch fans, all the Zilbillies out there, how do you feel about RCR's guy coming over to Team Trackhouse? Leave a comment down below. Now it is time for my weekly NASCAR Cup Series Power Rankings. One of my favorite segments every single week. Stay tuned to see if your favorite driver made the cut. As always, a reminder, this list is not strictly based on results. It's also not based on only the last race. It's based on the last several races, and it's based on their broader performance. So at number 10, I have Ross Chastain. Solid enough in the round of 16 to survive, starts the round of 12 off pretty strong with a top 10 effort at New Hampshire. He's gonna need some top 5s though to get over the hump. Fortunately, he's the defending Fall Kansas winner, so maybe Ross can make some magic happen this Sunday. I still have Chase Elliott in the 9 spot. Poor qualifying effort at New Hampshire cost them early stage points, but to Elliott and crew chief Alan Gustafson's credit, they were able to methodically work their way forward, get some stage points in stage 2, and finish top 5 at the end. Elliott has led a handful of laps in 3 of the first 4 playoff races, but every point matters, especially when you're close to the bubble like Chase Elliott is right now. I have his teammate Kyle Larson 1 spot ahead in 8th. Mainly because he had triple the stage points. Larson has qualified much better. He has 4 top 5 starts in the last 5 races. Elliott's average start in that same span is like 20th. Larson has also led laps in 3 of the first 4 playoff races. It's close between these two, but I'm giving the advantage to Kyle Larson this week. At 7, what the heck happened to 2311 this past weekend? Bubba Wallace and his teammate Tyler Reddick, who's not listed, spoiler alert, big losers this week. Bubba has had top 5, 6 speed almost every week now for a while, and he led a bunch of laps the last time the New Hampshire Aero tire combo was used. But for whatever reason, they sucked on Sunday. Immediately went backwards at the drop of the green flag, could never get a handle, finished 26th. Hopefully that's just a one-off, because I'm serious, the last couple months, look at the data. This team has looked really, really good. William Byron moves up to position number 6. After several weeks of William Byron was back to his old form, earned 16 stage points on Sunday, finished 3rd at a track that Hendrick has historically struggled at a bit in recent years. So really good signs for the regular season champion. Top 5, Denny Hamlin. The 11 team continues to qualify well, which is huge, but this is back-to-back weeks where they just kind of missed the setup on race day. I'll cut them some slack at Bristol. That tire was extremely unpredictable, but New Hampshire has been a strong suit for Joe Gibbs Racing for years. 12th place finish? That's it? He probably would have gotten a top 10, to be fair, if the Cody Ware caution doesn't happen at the end. But still, 12th, only 3 stage points. I expected more from Denny Hamlin this weekend. The same could be said for his teammate Christopher Bell, who I have in the 4th spot. I am moving Bell up a bit because while Toyota as a whole was a bit off on Sunday, Christopher Bell led the way. 6th place finish, earned the most stage points of any Toyota driver. The last 3 weeks, Bell has finished 7th, 1st, and 6th. They seem to be on a pretty good roll. I'll reward that consistency. Christopher Bell at 4, top 3 at position number 3. This might be the best Joey Logano has been in my power rankings all year long. Can you tell it's playoff time? 3 straight top 5 finishes. He did the tire test at New Hampshire earlier this summer, which was clearly a help on Sunday. Qualified on the pole, led the most laps, finished 4th. Maybe Logano's best performance of the season, frankly. But he still wasn't quite as good as his teammate Ryan Blaney, who we'll talk about in just a moment. At 2 this week, dropping 1 spot, is Chase Briscoe. Really good start to the playoffs, finishes of 1st, 2nd, 9th, and 10th, 4 top 10s in a row. Again, I was expecting a little more from Briscoe and all of Toyota at New Hampshire, but Chase still scored a respectable top 10, solid result, all things considered. He stays up here near the front, but at number 1, back on top for the first time in a bit, it's Ryan Blaney. Red hot lately, wins on Sunday. I mentioned it the other night. Over the past 10 Cup races, Blaney has 2 wins. He has an average finish of 5.6. Unbelievable. Ryan Blaney at 1. There's my top 10. Those are my Cup Series power rankings post New Hampshire. Only a few weeks to go, folks. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Whew, that was fun. Thanks for following along, folks. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more NASCAR content day in, day out, all year long. Really appreciate my Patreon supporters as well, going above and beyond to support the show. I greatly appreciate what y'all do. I will see you in tomorrow's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in.